Hey there, good afternoon. It's Cam Tran here in the First Warning Weather Center. Wanted to hop on and do a quick 2 o'clock Facebook Live update and give you the latest on the tropics. So we had the start of hurricane season officially start yesterday, and of course on the first day of the season we had a tropical depression form, and now we officially have our first name storm of the season. It is Arlene. So Arlene just developed this afternoon with the 2 o'clock advisory that the NHC just put out. So Arlene is now moving south at 5 miles per hour. It is about 265 miles off the coast of Fort Myers, Florida, and right now has winds of 40 miles per hour. So it makes it just barely a tropical storm. Interestingly to note, though, the pressure of this system at 1,002 millibar actually hasn't changed from when it was deemed a tropical depression. It was still at 1,002 millibar earlier this morning with the 5 a.m. and 11 a.m. advisories. So the pressure really hasn't gone down much, or at all, really. It's more of the wind. So I want to show you, here's a look at the latest path. It really hasn't changed much at all. So I want to show you, here is a look at Tropical Storm Arlene. It is moving south at 5 miles per hour, and you can see it's going to be a very short-lived tropical storm. So we are expecting this system to weaken as it moves south. In fact, as it moves south, we are expecting it to interact with quite a bit of wind shear, and that's going to actually help this system weaken even further. So it's going to be a short-lived named storm, and by tonight it is expected actually to weaken to a tropical depression already. So brief named storm, but regardless, still it is the first named storm of the season. Now here's the thing. The Hurricane Hunter planes have been in this system for the last several hours. And so when they were in this system, they actually started around 7 o'clock this morning. They did find tropical storm strength winds. So that is actually the reason why they actually upgraded the system. In fact, as they were in the storm, they at about 950 millibar pressure level, which is about 2,500 feet above the surface, found 50 knot winds, which is approximately like 57 mile per hour winds. But at the surface, they found 35 knot winds, which is about 40 miles per hour, which would make it a tropical storm. So it did get upgraded then because of that. So we are going to track this system, even though really we're not going to see too much in terms of impacts here in Central Florida. So I want to show you the recon flight here as the system was moving through the Gulf. So you can see here's a look at the Hurricane Hunter plane. They did several passes. So the low-level center of circulation with the system is displaced a bit from where the convection is. So you notice the Hurricane Hunter plane is essentially flying to the southwest of where the bulk of the thunderstorm or the convection is. And so that's where the low center of circulation is, which is kind of indicative of some of the wind shear that this thing has been dealing with. But as they were doing these passes, they did notice some stronger winds. So I want to kind of roll back here on some of the data, if we can pull up some of the data here. So they're leaving. It looks like they're starting to leave now, but you know, earlier this afternoon you see average surface wind speed around 39 miles per hour, 38, and then it tapers off a bit as they're getting away from obviously the core there. So the Hurricane Hunter planes did find tropical storm strength winds, and the storm still has a closed low-level center of circulation again, which does make it tropical. You can kind of see that in the middle. You can see all this right here showing that low-level center of circulation. So the good news is this is not expected to have really any huge impacts to land, if any at all. The only impacts is in terms of rain. You can see right now in our tropical weather advisories, there are no advisories right now impacted here for Central Florida or the entire Sunshine State for that matter. So that's the good news. It is moving south away from Central Florida and away from the Sunshine State. But what's interesting to note is this is technically the second tropical system we've had this year. You may remember back in January we actually had a subtropical system. It was from a nor'easter that was in the northern Gulf, or not, excuse me, northern Atlantic, not the Gulf, northern Atlantic, that became subtropical. So technically for this year, this is the second system, but it is the first named system because they actually didn't assign a name to this subtropical storm. Now, thankfully, there's nothing else we're really tracking in the tropics other than Arlene. Fairly quiet right now over the next 7 days, not tracking anything in particular other than Arlene. And Arlene formed in the Gulf of Mexico, which is pretty typical for this for the month of June. You can actually see that center there, the orange, indicating where we see the greatest or most likely development, and you can see it's in the Eastern Gulf, and that is exactly where Arlene developed. So not unusual to have systems early on in the season develop in the Gulf. It's actually quite common. So I wanted to show you, I will give this system some credit. It has been battling wind shear and dry air since its onset, but it's like the little engine that could. It just kept overcoming it, and it somehow got a little bit better organized. So I want to show you the satellite loop from the last 6 hours. So this morning, you can kind of see all that burst of convection there off to the southeast of the system right around 8 o'clock. And then that convection gets stronger and it starts to create, you see more of a wraparound towards the southwestern portion. So as we were getting towards the lunchtime hour, late morning to lunchtime hour, I think is where it kind of strengthened there. And I think that's where the Hurricane Hunter planes kind of found some of those stronger winds. You can kind of see that low level center circulation getting a little bit more defined and getting better organized. So I think it was late morning into lunchtime where they were like, okay, there are strong enough winds to kind of upgrade this to a tropical storm. I mean, it is sitting in very marginally warm waters in the Gulf. Right now, you can see water temperatures in the Gulf hovering right around 79, 80 degrees to 81 degrees, which is about the temperature. We like the temperatures, or tropical systems and hurricanes like temperatures right around 80 degrees or warmer. And it is sitting right into those marginally warmer waters. So I can definitely see why or how it got some of the energy or latent heat to develop. But the reason why I'm still pretty impressed with this system is look at the water vapor satellite. So the water vapor satellite takes a look at the upper level winds and moistures. And right now you can see there is a lot of dry air on the southern tier of this system. It's just getting sucked into the storm. And even though it's really eating away at the system, it still was able to overcome it and strengthen to be strong long enough to be deemed as a tropical storm. So look at all this dry air. This is the thing. As it moves south, it's going to interact with more of this dry air and shear, and that's why we're expecting this to not be a very long-lived tropical storm because of the environmental conditions that it's going to be rolling itself into. But you can see right now that center circulation off to the west here. In terms of us here at home in Central Florida, we're not expecting any direct impacts here in terms of Arlene, but what we are expecting though is that indirectly we are expecting rain, and that's something we're already seeing right now. And one of the reasons was, you can see this upper level trough, that disturbance associated with it, it's still going to keep a lot of lingering moisture around here across Central Florida. So that's why we're seeing some of the rain this afternoon. Here's a look at our first warning radar. We're seeing that east coast sea breeze move inland right now. A couple of thunderstorms out there, kind of nasty ones actually in southern Osceola County. I'm going to keep a peek eye on those, check in with those, see how they're doing. In fact, there was SPS just released on those thunderstorms here in Osceola County, producing, let me look, quite a bit of rain and even some pea-sized hail. Let's go check out, see if we see any hail with this. Don't see hail with it, but it is a nasty thunderstorm there near Kenansville. We're going to keep an eye on that. Otherwise, mostly light rain across our area. Tonight, we are going to see those lows drop down to upper 60s to low 70s. Tomorrow, another mild day out there with temperatures low 80s to mid 80s tomorrow afternoon. And then we are going to keep a close eye on some of the rain. In fact, I'm going to send a little note to get us a closed captioning, just in case. Hold on 1 second. Just 1 second, little technical thing. Send this. So because of the moisture indirectly associated with Arlene, we are still going to keep the chances of rain around for Saturday and even into Sunday. And then as we go into early next week, we're going to start to see some of that drier air work its way in, and we are going to see warmer conditions for next week as well. So looking ahead for the upcoming weekend, unfortunately, it's not rain free. Rain chances are still on the high side. Let me pull this graphic up really fast. About a 50% chance of rain Saturday, and then a 60% coverage for Sunday. And then as we look ahead for the extended weather forecast, notice we are going to see some drier air working in by next week. This is actually the PM 7-day. Let me pull up the AM 7-day for you here. So there. We are expecting that drier air to work in by Monday of next week. So kind of wet the next couple days. Higher rain coverage today, and then also on Saturday into Sunday. And then we are going to see that drier air work in. And then as with that drier air working in, temperatures will be quite hot. We will see high temperatures into the low 90s. So quick update. Wanted to give you a update on the first named storm of the hurricane season. Arlene has officially formed. Next one up is going to be Brett, if and when that happens. But thankfully, so far, pretty quiet other than Arlene out there. So if there are not any questions, I will see. Any comments out there, questions? If not, I'm going to shut off this video, and then we will have the latest for you coming up on WESH 2 News at 4 and 6 o'clock. I'm in at 4, Tony's in at 5 and 6 to talk more about the tropics and Arlene and a look at that big important weekend forecast. Have a good one.